Thank you so much. Thank you so much and welcome. And I do sound like I have a frog in my throat just because of the temperature fluctuations. So I'm on the East Coast. I'm in New Jersey. And yesterday it was actually 55 degrees. I don't think I've had
Oh,
55 degrees in New Jersey for over a decade,
wow.
So that if we're thinking about climate change, guys, it's real.
It's real.
And yeah. So that's why I sound like,
It's nine
I
o'clock.
sound like I've swallowed a frog. I feel like if we had a choir, I could perhaps be like a solid like tenor today. I
Yeah.
think so. But besides
Great
that,
voice.
I feel fine. I feel fine. So, I'm happy to be here so early in the new year actually, so we can get things
Yes.
started.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good to see
yes.
both of you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
If
you
you're
so much.
listening to us for the first time, as you heard in the introduction, the name of the show is Everyday Lessons Now, which comes from our book that we released in November of last year, a book called Everyday Lessons in Emotional Intelligence, a Caribbean Perspective. And with me as my co-host here is my co-author, Taryn Jagger Calendar.
Yep.
Welcome, Jagger. How
Welcome,
you doing?
welcome. Want to welcome everybody to it. We're back again, as we said, as we kick things off. We say we call it 2020 new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything new.
You've been advocating for 2020 new for
Yeah,
a couple of
20.
days now.
Yeah, 2020 new. I think that's the energy that we have to step in with. And unfortunately for me, well, I should say fortunately for me, I don't have the frog in my throat. I'm not battling with the cold. I am not on that coast. I am in the very nice, sunny Caribbean, broadcasting live from Trinidad and Tobago, where the temperature is upwards of 70 something.
Oh, okay, okay. Don't start.
Wow.
There's no need to come with that kind of
Yeah.
hate so early.
He's
It's unnecessary.
wow. Here it is, 1st of January, and it's 70 something.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like
Oh my
who
God.
needs this kind of
Who
energy?
needs
Yes,
that?
yes.
And you know
No.
what? I'm one that says weather is okay, but let me tell you, running in that 21-degree weather last night, that was not
Not
my
fun.
idea of fun.
No,
No.
not at all.
So yes, so
No,
I
it
am.
wasn't.
So we are here. I am broadcasting from the sunny skies. It's a beautiful afternoon or a beautiful evening here in Trinidad. So want to welcome
Wow.
everyone. If you're joining us for the first time, we say welcome. I hope you all had a beautiful holiday season. We know Omicron is trying to dampen the spirits of everyone, but we have to find a way forward and continue doing what needs to be done. And as I continue to tell people, it's a self thing. You have to look within self first because it starts with you. How you treat yourself and you how if you are responsible, the people around you, you're gonna mirror that same effect. So if you're responsible,
Right.
the people around you will be responsible, and that's how it trickles down. And it's like a parent and a kid kind of relationship. If every day you get up, you do the right things, and if kids see you doing the right things, they're gonna do it as well. So if you have peers who you know are struggling because the conversation of anti-vax and vax is still in the atmosphere. But if
Absolutely.
you continue doing the right thing and the people around you see that you're doing the right thing all the time, they will know all right how they will adjust.
Absolutely.
They will adjust. All right.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
just want to start off
So
by
what
saying
did
that.
you do for your holidays in the warm and sunny
Yes.
Well, in the
Trinidad and
warm and
Tobago?
sunny
He
Trinidad and
was in the
Tobago.
ocean. He was swimming in the ocean,
Well, no. For me,
basking under the sun.
I don't do the swimming thing. And contrary to what everybody believes that when you live in the Caribbean, everybody, not that I can't swim, but I'm not really a big fan of the beach. So I wasn't
Oh.
doing. No, I'm not. So I didn't do that, but I spent a lot of time with the kids, which is great. There's in Trinidad now we're getting ready for what would have been the carnival season. So a lot of calypso soca music is being released, which is something
Oh,
that I
yeah.
advocate for heavily. So I'm deep into that, knee deep into the new music and getting ourselves together and getting some sort of our version of what carnival could be given the circumstances. So that is what I am heavily into at the present moment. So no beach baths and that sort of thing. I didn't do that. I was heavy into the music.
Okay. So in the time that we were on hiatus, what I did, since we keep talking about learning and unlearning, what I did is I thought I would get into some of the things that our parents and their parents knew as children, and most of those things would be in books. So I took the time to read um, Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. And for me, reading it as an adult, one, and secondly, using the lens that we currently use, like looking at it from an emotional intelligence perspective, it was completely different. And I was really blown away by some of the things that seemed normal when Chinua Achebe was writing that book all those decades ago. Now that's a book that has won a lot of prizes and so on, and it's on a list of must read books. Like it's on the top 12 books that people should read in their lifetime and so on. And I realized that first of all, it's set in sort of like an Avatar or Black Panther kind of theme. So those movies may have come out of that kind of book anyway, where there's this utopia and, there's some body ruling over everything. And what I realized is that some of the things that we've come to accept are definitely things that we need to change. So in this one village, there was this guy who lived in a hut by himself, and then he had like 3 wives, and they would live in different huts, like just on the outskirts of his hut, and each wife would make lunch for him, and the children would bring the lunch, at the same time he would eat from each of them and that sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, this is a little weird, but all right. And then if he was angry, he would actually physically beat the wives, and people would be there saying, no, she's had enough. And he would only stop when he was satisfied. And so we started to see where things like gender-based violence and so on took root and really, were able to get its tenets into the society that we know now. So that was revealing to me and sort of gave me like a way forward in understanding some of the things that we need to unlearn. Then I went to read Animal Farm. So, again, similar situation, but now we're looking at where the animals were, let's say we're juxtaposing animals for the government and for people. And you realize that it's a similar thing where, some animals are in charge and some are not, and some animals are lazy and some pull their weight and, that kind of thing. Just like the society that we live in. And then this morning, I actually watched Don't Look Up. And I watched it because of some of the reviews I saw where people kept on saying, oh, this was triggering. So whenever I hear triggering, I think of emotions. And because that's where I sit now, I just thought, okay, well, let me watch this. And while I was not, I'm not on the side of the Hollywood people who are disappointed by, whatever cinematic things they didn't see or whatever, that I didn't find that entertaining or relevant. What I found relevant was some of the conversations and how the actors responded when they didn't get their way. Like I saw people become very angry and had to raise their voice and like slam their fists and that sort of thing. And I'm
characters,
wow, okay,
the characters.
Yeah.
The characters.
So we really need to have, I would say, more conversations around having difficult conversations, because you see how scientists were portrayed to me was a little bit of a jab, but I felt that there's still some work to be done especially in terms of emotional intelligence. And that was the way that I watched it anyway. I was watching to see what were the things that were triggering. I didn't find anything unusually triggering. So like people were talking about a dinner scene, and I'm not going to spoil it for people who didn't see it, but people were talking about a dinner scene, and I really didn't find that triggering at all, because to me, the things were realistic. We knew how we got to that point. It followed sort of logical, so, okay, we're here now, then what, so that was what I did for
and for me, as I told you, I didn't have to see it because I got all the spoilers.
Right.
For my radio team, they gave me all the spoilers, and it was a real harsh reality. I think that's the problem for some people. It was harsh reality. The fact that we are living in a time now where what we saw in the movie, or what you all saw in the movie, because to be honest, I didn't look at it. I kind of skimmed through some of the things there, was what's happening on a day-to-day basis. It happens every day. We're living in it now, and the pandemic is the meteorite. Is the meteorite? Sorry. What it was? It was a
comet.
A comet.
Discovered.
So the pandemic, COVID-19 is the comet. If you want to kind of balance it out, and how we dealing with the comet and how we dealing with COVID-19 is kind of the same, because they're and again, America has to take the forefront, because if you really, from all the reviews and when you look at it, you think that how it's only coming to America. This was something coming to destroy the entire universe, right? The entire world. But it's only based on what the American president is going to do about it.
Absolutely.
So basically, it's zeroing into how the world views the pandemic. The world views the pandemic by what America does in the pandemic. Because there are countries outside of America who's dealing with the pandemic as well and been doing things and creating stuff, and their nation is moving beautifully. But we don't talk about that because of, again, how news is set up. And going back to you spoke about it was a black news anchor and a white news anchor, and how they sold the scientists and the young student who discovered the comet in the first place. Listen, it's basic. To me, it read like no. They said without changing the names of the people.
Right. Yes. And I could certainly draw that parallel, because when I looked at it, and we did say that yes, you could put it into present day.
We can call the people we can call the names of the people who the characters would have been playing.
Yes.
You understand? Yes. I don't want to do that now, but we can call the names of the people who will be playing, because they just changed the president, to female, but we know who they're talking about. They changed the millionaire. Or billionaires.
I think that billionaire was a couple of people rolled into one.
Correct. There's a couple of them. That Elon is definitely in there.
Definitely.
Jeff is definitely in there.
And I think Dr. Fauci's in there too.
Oh hell yeah, he's there. He is the key. He is definitely there. You understand? He's definitely there.
My. Dr. Fauci, here we go. You know what? I'm 69. And we have been listening to and believing and buying into scientists and the science for decades, centuries, hundreds of years. And all of a sudden, we don't buy into the science. We're questioning everything that science has said to us about Omicron, about the Delta, about COVID-19. But there's so many things that we have not questioned. And when we look at, in fact, I'm going to throw this on YouTube.
Okay.
As I mentioned to you very early on, I started teaching life skills and character education, standards, morals, decades ago. And I do mean decades ago. Social emotional intelligence, social emotional learning, social mindfulness. I'll never forget standing in the main office at one of the schools and looking at a flyer, and they were talking about everyone taking mindful classes on mindfulness and all these things. And I thought, really, all of a sudden you're finding that important? Really? After everything has gone to heck in a handbasket. It was important decades ago. It's important today. So my question to both of you, and I hear you, and I listen to Dr. Fauci. I listen to all the doctors, Dr. Walensky, Dr. Fauci, the doctors in LA, the doctors in Dallas, the doctors in DC, Jerome Adams, even though I thought when he was there, he made some huge mistakes. I believe that the thing that was in the White House did horrible things to the country, to the people of this country. But we're questioning things.
Oh, wow. We actually just going to stay quiet and listen to how that just flew over everybody here. The thing that was in the White House, my God. That one, no, listen, I wasn't ready. I was not ready for that one. I'm sorry to cut you, but I just wasn't. I just realized, but wait now, is it me? She just said the thing that was in the White House. Okay, my apologies. Oh, wow. That's what we're doing. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that's how the show was. My apologies.
Sorry. I didn't. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I hope I didn't offend you.
No. I'm not offended at all. I'm just saying I just did. It shocked me when I heard it. I'm like, am I hearing right? I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. That's all. All right, cool.
I hope we are.
Yeah, we are. Go ahead.
So my point. I'm really. I don't know what to think of all of this, because there's so much that we rely on. And then when it comes to Omicron, and just as you said, you were talking about how people are viewing things.
Mhm.
I'm taken aback because we've relied on the professionals and the experts, and now we don't.
Mhm.
So what do we do? Who's right?
I think that has to some part to play in what we're unlearning and relearning, because we find ourselves in a situation where we have the influence of social media, and the speed with which things travel is a lot faster than it was when we had the last pandemic a century ago. You had to wait to hear by mail, what was happening. Yeah, it was snail mail then. Now you can get on FaceTime or a call like this and talk to people that are in different parts of the world, and you know immediately what is happening. That influences how we deal with stuff. I saw today Terry McMillan posted, and she is 70 years old. She said, and that's the lady who wrote A Day Late and a Dollar Short. She's still writing, and she said today, she remembers being able to go to school because she had to get 5 mandatory vaccines. Why are we still fighting this 2 years in? And being someone in a public space and so on, it's easy. And she's not the only one who said that. People have been saying that from the time we got into this pandemic. And then when we got the vaccines, people were resistant, and, we're still dealing with vaccine hesitancy and so on. But be that as it may, as Terrence said in the beginning, if you are doing the right things for you, then people are going to be able to function around you. So if you are an anti-vaxxer, but you're wearing a mask and you're doing the other things that you are to keep yourself safe and to protect others around you, then let's run with that. If you've decided to vaccinate, then you should also still wear a mask, because if you understand how it spreads, then there should not be a question.
Shouldn't be.
So, and I like to say that the people that are fighting it the hardest are the people who couldn't even get the red bean to grow in primary school. So, we can't just keep fighting because we can, because sometimes I feel like that is what is happening. But we have to put ourselves in a position where we're able to deal with people who have differing opinions and understand that we must coexist. And so that's what we come here to do on Sundays, to talk about the things that can help us coexist in spaces where we know people are definitely opposed to some of the things that we hold dear.
And
so
let me just say, I read something this morning that in all the things that we read, like, you see all these memes about the anti-vaxxers, the vaxxers, the other. This here, to me, I think is one of the best I've read in a long time. I think just saw a tweet saying both vaccinated and unvaccinated people can catch COVID. A doctor responded, both Serena Williams and I can play tennis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the best I've read in a long time. I started off the year with that one, and I said that's the one I'm running with.
Yes.
Yeah.
It made the most sense. Okay, cool, yeah. Both vaccinated and unvaccinated get COVID, and Serena Williams and I can play tennis. So who is the better tennis player?
Right. Basically, stay in your lane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stay in your Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I agree with you 1,000%. And I think that you are absolutely right. People are doing the crazy antics because they think they can get away with it. Because they just, it's my lane. I can do whatever I want to do. I'm here to rule it all. I know I got white privilege. So it's just crazy. It is simply just crazy. How do we get past it? We get past it by goal setting. So that's actually what I want to talk about today. Goal setting using emotional intelligence. So it's a lovely topic for the first Sunday of the year, and I'm sure that people have set goals or have given some thought to what are the things they want to achieve in this year. And, some people have resolutions and some people don't. And Taryn, did you make any resolutions?
I don't do resolutions, really. I try not to do resolutions. And over the past 10 months with the journey that I started, I believe that resolutions is not really a thing. It's more about, as we talk about it all the time, it's more about telling yourself, it's feeding affirmations into yourself and telling yourself that, look, this is what you need to do. And don't really come down too hard on yourself if it's a struggle, because a lot of things that we want to acquire is going to be hard. It's not going to be, as the saying goes, great things doesn't come easy. So you just have to continue breathing words of affirmation into you and telling yourself, all right, this is what I want to accomplish. Because, and why I'm saying that, 2021 for me was a very interesting roller coaster. And for the listeners out there, let me just give you a quick, my 2021 didn't start off how it ended, obviously. Didn't know that a book would have come out in 2021. Didn't know I'd have been back in school in 2021. Didn't know so many things in 2021. It was just me wanting to operate in good energy. I started back writing songs and that kind of thing. So looking at 2022, that's why I keep advocating for 2020 new. I really want people to understand that it's okay to try something new in 2022. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you decide that you just want to, like I met an old man a couple of days ago. I don't want to call him man older, but an older guy than me. And his joy is coming from aloes. You know the plant aloes?
Right, yeah.
He has an aloes farm. Who would I think about an aloes farm? And he is so happy. I'm talking about this guy is the happiest camper I've ever seen in my life. He is just moseying along with aloes. So he said, listen, my job, I'm retired, I am 78 years old. All I do is just plant aloes, I cut aloes, I share aloes. And it's like, it's not for sale, It's not like, he has no price. He just has it, and whatever you feel to give him, you give him. And he's happy. He's like the happiest person on the planet. And that kind of energy is the type of energy that I want around me. When we have all these issues going around and you are so frustrated and you want to do this and you want to do that, you can't do this and can't do that. Think about this guy who has aloes. Every day. He does not charge, and he is the happiest person on the planet.
And the irony is something as bitter as aloes is bringing him that joy.
Exactly. That is exactly what I said.
That
bitter
is what
aloes.
I find ironic.
The bitterest thing on the planet is giving him the most joy. He's so happy. So that's kind of like what I want to employ into my way of functioning for 2020 new. I just want to give that little bitter aloes vibe a vibe. I want to try and roll inside of that space. I just love his energy, which is good, and that's what I want people to do, because everything around us is different. Today alone, I can, on a personal level, I can speak clearly that I know personally over 15 people who is currently contracted with COVID. And out of those 15, I know at least personally, at least 4 people who have lost loved ones over the past 2 weeks with COVID. So it's real. So whatever other people want to say about it, that's them. But for me, it's real. So, and with that energy alone, you just have to have a different mindset moving forward. So today we're speaking on goals and how to set those goals and how to try and follow through with those goals for 2020 new. Sorry.
And I know that usually when people do resolutions, before too long, before you get to the end of January, they've shelved those resolutions because, they're gone off the track already. So I think one of the ways to look at it really, I found these 28 questions that you could ask yourself instead of making resolutions. I found those on the internet. And I thought that it was quite interesting. And I'll tell you why I don't do the resolutions, but they divided them into work and projects, experiences, relationships, skills and growth, emotions, and knowledge. And I thought that was an interesting, sort of group to put together. What I gravitated to, while I answered all the questions, what I gravitated to was really the section on emotions, because I am always interested in seeing how people treat with emotions, because when it comes into the workplace and then it comes into a social setting, I'm really interested in that. So the questions on the emotions were, when did I feel most alive? And this is reflective instead of being proactive. So they wanted you to look at what happened in 2021 as opposed to making these resolutions for 2022. So the questions were, when did I feel most alive? When did I feel most stressed? What emotional patterns did I identify in myself? What caused me the most anxiety? And what made me excited to get out of bed in the morning? I actually found those questions very interesting. And like I said, I answered them. And I did it as an exercise just because I thought it could be useful. And it was indeed useful. And it helped me to think of what are the things that I want to accomplish going forward. I do have a list of 300 things that I intend to accomplish within the next 2 years. Because, let me say, I see you wincing at my 300, but let me tell you how I got to my 300. Let me tell the listeners, because I told you already how I got to my 300. So I saw this motivational speech by Steve Harvey. So before he does his recording for Family Feud, he usually talks to the audience, and then I guess in between, in the breaks and so on, he talks to them as well. And he was saying that he has 2 scriptures that keep him motivated. And the first one is, you have not because you ask not. And that is from John 4:2, I think. And then the other one is, write the vision and make it plain, which I think he kind of used in the way that he wanted, because sometimes people do that with the Bible anyway.
Of course, yeah.
But
interpretation.
In writing the vision and make it plain, I think of ensuring that everybody in the organization knows what the vision is, as opposed to how he said it. He said, you want to write things down just because he doesn't know anybody, successful or rich, who's had a great idea or whatever. And when you go to them, they don't tell you, oh, look, I had this written down from X amount of years ago. They can always produce something to show you. And I know you have a story like that with Soca Star.
Yeah.
Because you have something written down from several years ago.
Yeah,
right? Yes. So that's the energy that I received that one with. So I said, okay, let me listen and go along. He said, one of the things that you need, what I would challenge you to do is to write a list of 300 things that you want. And by the time you get to 75, you may be, stretching, but you need to increase the ask, because the God that we serve is a big God and so on. So go push through, you'll get to 300. Think of all the things that you want and so on. And so I did it sort of like in categories and whatever. Little things, big things, travel, house, money, whatever. And I was able to get to 300. I wouldn't say it was a stretch really, but at some points I'm like, okay, I might not be able to get it, but I was able to do it over a couple of days. And so I'm working on that as opposed to having it like just for a year. It's sort of like a goal list. And he said, if you do it and you look at it frequently, he said daily, but I'm not going to read 300 things daily. But if you do it and you look at it daily, you will be surprised at the end of a year that at least 10% of it you would have achieved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think for me, one of the reasons that I don't do the resolutions is because you need to have what I would say accountability. You need an accountability partner. And if I just write a resolution, like, whatever a resolution is, and I don't tell anybody about it, then there's no sense of accountability. It's not that I'm not disciplined enough, but then, okay, so I did it. Yeah, okay. If you figure you are going to let someone else down, that sense of community, I think, is what helps us to achieve some of the things that we want to achieve. So if we do things in a collaborative way, I think that is more in keeping with how we could achieve stuff. So one of the things that we could do with goal setting for organizations anyway is to use the SMART method of goal setting. So the SMART system, it would be where you would find things that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. So whatever it is you want to achieve for the organization. So if you're in a sales organization, you may find something as specific as a percentage growth that needs to happen over a specific period from last year. So it may be for the first quarter, you need to achieve X amount, and this was 10% more than you did last year. And then you'd want to explain to your staff how you're going to do it, so they understand what the why is, they understand what is specific about it. Then the measurement would be the dollars that you want to achieve, or the specific percentage. How is it going to be achieved? So maybe we need to have specific sales. We need to, whatever it is we need to do, so they know exactly what it is. And then it's going to be achievable if you break it down into these little bite-sized things. And then the time would be over a quarter. So, you have 3 months to sort of attack this and get it done. However, when you try to bring that sort of SMART goal thing into personal achievements, then, or personal goals, it becomes a little bit more or a little less humanized, because everything seems to be, in the smart way of looking at things, everything seems to be for an organization. Or it fits an organization really well. You can adapt it, but it fits an organization really well.
And wait, hold on.
I found this.
Hold on. Before you go further, when you said humanize, like one of the things, like I saw the Steve Harvey, because we shared it. Me personally, what I think happens in situations like those, especially with people like Steve Harvey, it's brilliant to use your success to help motivate others. Right? But I think sometimes they drop the ball with the reality of things. Let me explain. There's an old saying that my granny always used to say, right? That you have to first be able to manage what you have now before you can get anything else.
Okay.
Right? So in writing these goals, and people, if we just crazily come here and tell people, listen, that we need to write these goals and write it down and get to 300 and all these great, that's fine to have all these great aspirations, because I could sit here and write 1,000 things that I want easily, because I want a lot of things. But we have to be realistic in the acts as well.
Right.
You understand? What I'm saying that is, we struggle in the situations that we're in now. And I think when you can manage, and when I say manage, I don't mean everything is running smooth, but when you can put a handle on your situation, only then is when you can really take something in. It's like basic. Like, say for instance, you have a warehouse. If your warehouse is not packed properly and goods reach, you have nowhere to put the goods. Because your warehouse is all over the place. There's nowhere to resting. The shelves are overfull. And I look at life the same way. If your life is in a position where it's overly crowded, it's not set up properly, but then you want to set all these goals and all these things that you want to do, you're just going to be asking for things that really and truly you can't get, because there's nowhere to put it. So when Steve and they go on to do all these motivational speeches and song also nice and motivate you, yes, because you see a lot of people look at the success and the journey. You have to remember that too. A lot of people look at, he have all of these things, but they never really focus on how he got there. Yes, they give you some insight to say, because he always speaks about him sleeping in a car and doing this and doing that. But we also need to remember, when you're being real, when you're humanizing the situation, as you just said, you have to be honest. You understand? And I think sometimes they're not fully honest with what happens. Because, for instance, some people, you can be like on the journey of success, and I know this from seeing it happen. You might be doing something, and because it's like, let's use him as an example for now. He went from having all of these TV shows to making a mistake and then falling off, right? Losing some. But some of the successes came because of other things. And exactly what I'm talking about is what happened to him. He took on too much. So it had to come crumbling down, because he did not have room to take on any more.
Right.
And then he too had to humble down and reevaluate and reassess what he was doing. And then now he's coming back. So if you're really speaking on it properly, he should have said in that whole motivational speech, you also too have to take time to manage your situation now. And in managing your situation, or gradually take on stuff. It's like Noah and the ark. If Noah didn't tell the animals come 2 by 2 and he just tell everybody to come in the ark would have sink. Let's be honest. It would have sink, it would have never had no Noah's ark. Noah told everybody, all you hold on, 2 by 2 please. Because he had structure and he understood the assignment in that moment. He said, listen, I understand what we need. God guide me to build this boat, but I cannot take everybody. 2 by 2 please. So when you say these things, we have to always remember to humanize it as well and be honest in when we're delivering. That was the end of our 2-part series. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Check us next week for a brand new episode of Everyday Lessons Now. She did 300, I'm going to write 1,000. And then at the end of 2022, you instead of do 2 of the things and they want to kill Dr. Amala, because Dr. Amala failed is because you took on too much. You didn't stop to realize, what is your position now? What are you managing now? Manage your life now. If you can get that under control, then you add on. You understand? I just wanted to slip that in there, because I think it's very important.
And of course, it has a lot to do with mindset. And we spoke about mindset before. So you need to understand, and I like the analogy of a warehouse, because if you want new things to come into your life, you have to get rid of some of the things that you currently have.
Correct.
I absolutely agree with that. And we can start with something as basic as clothes. You keep buying new clothes, your closet is full. You start putting clothes
in bags
on the exercise machine.
Correct.
On all kinds of things. We need to get rid of that kind of thinking, because what you have to do is make room. Make room. And the Bible also tells us to make room.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to make room
so
that we can get the things that we keep talking about. Pour out a blessing that I wouldn't have room enough to receive or whatever. No.
Again, interpretation is how we interpret it. So we have to be clear in speaking.
Yes.
And making room all the time. I like the analogy with the clothes. Making room sometimes is a mindset too. You have to clear clutter from in your mind. And that's what we talk about, relearning stuff. And you have to unlearn some of the old things that you have in your brain and really refocus on how you want to receive information, because receiving information is very important as well. Sometimes we could both look at something like the show you spoke about earlier, and you could take something away from it and I take something totally different away from it.
Yes.
You understand? But we looked at the same show. All right?
Yes.
So,
yeah. Yes. So as I was saying, you could also have like a personal goal. If you have like the SMART goal, you set it up in a way you say, okay, I want to lose 15 pounds by January 31st. So that's very specific. It's measurable. You don't say how you plan to do it, but you have this.
Pretty much you have to starve yourself, that's all. Because I'm not seeing it humanly possible. Yeah, that's
to lose 15 pounds?
By the 31st of the month? I think you just have to not eat. Either that's what you turn a crackhead, I don't know. 132, because that's very hard to do realistically. You can go on all those kind of speed diets, yes, but it's not healthy.
Right. Okay. So maybe 15 was a bit much, but I just thought that, listen, you can do 100 crunches, you can do 100 squats, you can count calories. I don't know how people count calories, but whatever. You can eliminate bread, whatever, stuff like that. There are ways that you can think.
I'm sure there is, but it's healthy though.
Right. You can always run at 4:30 in the morning, whatever.
I do that all the time.
Exactly.
I'm not guaranteeing anybody, if you follow me, you're going to lose 15 pounds in 10 days, in 20 days. I'm not guaranteeing anybody that.
Yeah. So now we want to look at how we can improve and humanize the process of goal setting. So I say emotionally intelligent goal setting can use the CLARE acronym. So CLARE stands for collaborate, listen, empathize, adapt, and reward. So collaboration, I'm a big fan of collaboration, because I think that you go further if you're going with somebody. If you have someone on the journey, I spoke about accountability before and so on. So for me, that sort of simplifies how you could get something done. Collaborate with somebody, it's so much easier, because now you have group success, sort of. Listening, we talk about listening here all the time. It's probably one of our favorite things to talk about. Yep. We talk about
listening actively.
Active listening. Yes, active listening. Because oftentimes we listen just to respond. And if you listen actively, then you'd also hear things that people are not saying. And those are probably the more important things. So if you're doing goal setting in a process where you're listening, then you'll be open to what other people want done. Let's say you're doing it in a work setting, because some of these things can be applied at work, because we would like people to be more emotionally intelligent at work, so that way your work is some place that you actually want to go to. Many people work in places that they find no joy. They just go there so that they can get a salary, and they really don't want to be there. But
I had to. You open up that can. I had to. I had no choice. I had no choice. I had to. Go ahead.
Yes. So yes, listening. So you want to keep your ears open so that you have a broader discussion. You're not the only person who's sounding like a stuck record. You listen to what your coworkers are saying, and then you may find some unheard voices, because someone who was not saying things before, if you listen actively, you will realize that their silence says a lot, and you may actually be able to find a way to reach out to them, and then their voice gets heard, and we're able now to bring them into the collaborative space that we have in the workplace. Empathy. Empathy is a huge one, and we keep talking about empathy, especially in politics, and where we have leaders who could be more empathetic if they probably even knew how to be empathetic. So we can perhaps practice empathy from the ground up. So if we start in our homes and start in our small spaces, then it begins to filter up. And like emotional intelligence, it does not require you to be brilliant. It doesn't require cognitive intelligence. So if we start being empathetic, meaning understanding where the other person is coming from, putting yourself in their place, understanding what are the things that are bothering them, and how would you understand that? By asking the right questions, by listening actively, by talking to people. Sometimes we're in spaces with people and we don't talk to them at all. We have no conversation because you feel like, oh, it's not my business, whatever, let me just do what I need to do and leave my cubicle and go home, or whatever it is. And we don't get to empathize with people. We don't understand how they're feeling, and so we're not able to adjust. So if we could find a middle ground and be able to reach someone who is in our space, then that could be helpful. We need to find out what's possible to happen in the space. Then we need to find things that are adaptable. So we need not be so hard and fast and so rigid about the things that we're trying to do. If things are adaptable, like let's say, for instance, you want to have a PTA meeting is the example I have here, and you decided the meeting should be at 2. But then other parents are working, and so there's no way that they could actually attend a 2:00 meeting, but they have to get there. They probably have to be there after work so they can get there at 5, or whatever that time is. So if you can adapt and change the time, then you may get more people involved, or you may have a goal that someone else can assist you with because they're now able to make that time and be there. And then the last one there is rewards. How would you celebrate whatever achievement? Let's say you have a group goal, and let's go back to the first one I said earlier with sales, where you had to meet a target. After you meet the target, now you can perhaps give people a bonus. You can buy pizza for the office. You can get a cake. You can, give somebody a day off, whatever. There's so many ways that you can reward people for having reached that goal. So these ways are actually ways that humanize the process. And now we can look at how we can do those in our personal life. So let's think of some personal goals and see how we can apply this so that people get a sense of how they can go about using emotional intelligence to sort of set their goals for 2022. And perhaps I can tell you what are some of the things on my list of my 300, if you'd be interested in hearing that.
Yeah,
yes,
I'm
let's
sure
talk a little bit about
not me alone, the listeners. I'm sure they'll want to know that's just a human thing. Human nature will compel us to want to know at least some of the 300. You can't start the thing by saying, well, I did 300 and I finished mine in a couple of days and didn't give at least some. We want to know. That's just human nature. We want to know. At least, oh gosh, at least some. And give us the because we kind of, we want to believe that a lot of people will measure, will kind of mirror, because everybody, every human being kind of want the same things at some point in time. So don't give us the more money or the bigger home or nicer home or different job. Not those. Give us some that's kind of a little deeper than that.
Okay, well, let me say, first of all, because I am a social scientist and I am a researcher by training, one of the things I did was look up what are some of the ways that people actually do a vision board, how people arrive at some of the things they have on these vision boards and so on. So I did a lot of research. I probably did like 2 days worth of looking to see what are some of the things that people want to accomplish, because again, like you said, we all want the same things. So I looked at those lists, and there were some things that I had already accomplished, and so I did not put them on the list. So there's still things out there that people can accomplish. that are not on my list of 300. Can you imagine? So, and then for me, because one, I'm a single person and I don't have any children, they're not, those things I think would help people to get to 300 faster. If people have children, if people are married and they have like things that they want to achieve as a family and so on, I don't have those things on my list. So for me, it was sort of stretching to put those things there, to find things to fill in those blanks. One of the things that a lot of people had on their list, or a lot of people want to accomplish, is becoming an author. I already had that. So that does not appear on my list. Writing a book, and something else was another major one that I think I already had. So, and you wouldn't have writing a book on your list either now, because exactly. So yeah. See, all right. So what I have, all right, so let's skip over. You said skip over the things with money and whatever. Okay. So one of the things I have here, people had doing a podcast. We don't have that on our list anymore either. Oh, wow. So, you know, there.
So you accomplished then.
Yeah.
If we have to scale it down, you like super accomplished. You have a PhD, you're an author, you do podcasts. Wow. The only thing left for you to do is pay $11 billion in taxes and get $25 billion back. Okay, Elon.
Right. So one of the things is monetize a podcast. That is one. The other one is grow a podcast to be a sizable source of income. So that's
an amazing one. I will share that one with you as well. That's one I'll share. Definitely, I'll share that one.
Okay. And I think I kind of got that from one time we sat eat breakfast, I think, and we were talking about ways to monetize. Some of this will sound familiar to you. I have a house in at least one Caribbean island.
Oh, that's a beautiful one, though. That's a beautiful one.
So now I could be in a 70-something degree place having this podcast.
Yeah.
That's right. Good. I have the rental property in the Caribbean, a house in the Poconos. I want a house in the Poconos. I've said that before, so I have that on my list here. To have a house in a gated community in Miramar, Florida. Very specific, because I went to visit. Yes, I went to visit someone who lived there, and I like the community, and I'm like, I want to live here. This was in 2009 or 10, so that is still on my list. And as you know from us going through like neuro-linguistic programming, you have to be able to have the things and recall them often enough to sort of make them, make them come true. Visit Machu Picchu. That's been on my bucket list, actually. I actually have a bucket list jar, and Machu Picchu has been on there for a long time. And my friends, I have this small circle of girlfriends who don't want to do any of those mountain climbing things with me, but it's still on my list. The next one is visit the pyramids of Giza. Visit an African country with a door of no return. So there are a few countries that have this door where the slaves went through. I want to see one of those. Visit Stonehenge. Here we go with the big rocks again. I have my first mortgage paid off. So that's one of them. Work with a team of like-minded individuals in a full-time professional setting. I own a Ford Raptor. Still have that on my list.
That one is very specific, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah. I know that's on the list. I know that's definitely on the list.
So I have number 8 is buy a new vehicle, Toyota RAV4. That's number 8. So that's there too. Get myself a gift for obtaining the PhD. I haven't done that yet. Eat fish in Gros-Islet, St. Lucia. I have mentor a child. Find a mentee who is my junior, because I believe that we need to have younger people than us mentor us, because they speak a completely different language. So one of the things is to find a mentee who is younger. Start the process of adopting a child. Attain my goal weight of 135 pounds. Get a massage at least once a month. find a mental health coach or therapist. I've already found some place, so I need to schedule an appointment now. Exercise at least 3 times weekly, improve my foreign language competence, play chess with Jonathan at least once a month. Jonathan is my 6-year-old nephew, and I'm teaching him chess. Be intentional with friendships. And I put here dash like a support network. So sometimes we just have friends, but it's not, they're not, you don't think of, okay, this is why I am friends with this person. So I am saying be intentional about
That's
it.
an amazing
There's
one
not-
too. Being intentional with friendship is amazing. I love that. I'm going to have to steal that for one of my things that I do. The other things.
Okay.
Maybe tea
All right.
party or something. I love that, being intentional with friendships, because just recently been having a conversation with a friend of mine, and that is something that I feel is very pertinent right now, to be intentional with friendships, because a lot of people, it's okay to tell somebody why you want to be friends with them. Like, listen, I want to be
Yes.
friends with you because, hey, you are A-class producer and I want songs.
Right.
I don't really care for anything else. I want to be your friend because you can produce the hell out of a track. No, I'm just saying, I'm
Right.
just using it as an
Yeah, yeah,
example.
yeah. Uh-huh.
But it's
Yeah.
important that we be intentional in general. But I really want to zero in on being intentional in friendships, because I think no more than ever that's important. But yeah, but that's fine though. You can't give them the whole 300. But
No,
those are brilliant. I love the one. But listening to the ones that you chose, it's intimidating to anybody listening, because I felt intimidated. I'm thinking now that my 300 will feel in comparison, and that's the next thing I want. No, wait. Let me say. I'm just trying to bring. I'm
By the ones
humanizing.
I mentioned you for.
I'm humanizing the conversation, because what I
Yes,
want to
yes, go
say
ahead.
is, it's okay if your 300 is not as exotic as Dr. Mala's 300, because
Right.
you might not want to adopt a child, you might not want to play chess with a 6-year-old. Things like, no, I'm telling you,
Right,
because you
right,
have to,
yeah, yeah.
interpretation again is an important thing. Somebody
Yes,
listening on the
yes,
next
yes.
end might feel intimidated, because they're like, oh my God, look how exotic hers are. She wants to do this, she wants to do that. And then they feel like they can't match up. It's not about matching up. It's about
No,
you.
not at all.
It's about you
Not at all.
finding things that you
'Cause I
want to do.
actually have here take at least one course a month. So there's still things that I don't know. I absolutely do not know everything.
But taking a course once a month is also a great. That is something that the regular person might think that, okay, I want to take a course, but once a month might be pushing it. Once a year, maybe. Not once a month. That's what I'm
okay.
saying. Don't listen to what.
But like short courses though. So short courses.
I get it, but I'm saying for the person, I'm humanizing the conversation.
Yeah, go ahead.
For
No,
the
you see, that's
people-
we need balance here.
You're right. The people who are listening, there could be someone who is really excited about doing the exercise, but then listening to your
I know we have an ace drummer listening. He just said hello, Leon from Roots Underground in Jamaica.
right, shouts a little roots, right? So people who listening, someone who listening might be really interested in trying the exercise, but then listening to how you listed what some of your 300, they could then feel, oh my gosh, my 300 is not good enough. I don't want people to walk away thinking that their 300 is not
Right.
good enough. I want everybody
Right.
to walk away believing that whatever is the list on your 300 is perfect.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's perfect
Exactly.
to you. It's perfect to you.
Yes.
Not everybody, as I said, could play chess with a 6-year-old, could do a course every month, could adopt a child, could do all of these things. That's Dr. Amala's. This is not yours. Yours could be something as simple as buying a pet, a goldfish.
It's not on my list.
You're wrong for that, though. You're very, very wrong for that. I'm trying.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
like,
I'm trying
getting a goldfish.
I'm trying to bring it down. And yeah, oh wow, yeah, that's not on my list. Yeah, we know that's not on your list. You're so wrong for that, though.
Oh my god.
You're very wrong for that. But yes, so that's what I'm saying. I just want people to walk away believing that, okay, you can do it as well. It's not really geared towards any type of person. You don't have to be any super duper individual to have a 300
Not at
list.
all.
You can be a regular person and just do it and focus on your list and do what is best for you, and kind of it's about, as I said at the top of the show, empowering yourself and speaking words of affirmation to yourself is always a beautiful thing. So I want to encourage people to do that and take away from us today on this first show of 2020 new, that if you are starting the list, do one that suits you. Don't get caught up in, because my list could be exotic as well. Some of the things on my list might be exotic, and to Dr. Amala, it mightn't be, and then we will interpret her as a super exotic, and to her it's cool. Like she's like, doesn't even say burst of sweat and saying she wants to play chess with a 6-year-old. Who wants to play chess with a 6-year-old? Who wants to teach a 6-year-old chess? Not a regular person. Let's be fair. I can't walk down the road now and stop. If I'm to do a quick survey online, if I post on my feed, Twitter feed, hey, who on here willing to teach a 6-year-old chess? I am guaranteeing you, I might get 2 people saying, I'll think about it. Let's be fair. All right? I'm done.
I wouldn't even say you win. I would not.
It's not about winning. It's not even about winning or losing.
I know, but I wouldn't even say that because I get your point.
Right.
I get your point. One of my things too is to actually win a board game with my brother, my most competitive brother. I actually have here to beat Travon at a board game, and I had to write it down because nobody's been able to do that.
I'm sensing a little bit of trauma.
Very ambitious.
Yeah, I'm sensing a little bit of trauma. I'm sensing that you've never won.
No.
I'm sensing.
You see, when we play in groups, everyone wants to be on his team. Now, most times I am on his team when we play, in groups, but I've never beat him at a board game. So that is still, that's a little bit out of reach, but I'm going to work on that.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I don't know what game yet.
That's a good one.
Yolanda's asking what does it look like to be intentional? So being intentional is really making clear what it is you want from your relationship with that person. So let's say someone is, as Taryn said, a producer. Well, let's not say a producer, but if someone maybe a drummer, for instance.
A real estate agent.
Real estate agent, okay. And you may want their expertise in terms of getting into the business of real estate. So you may, tap into asking them how they went about it or so on. You may also want to not just necessarily get into the business, but you may want to use them to buy or sell your property. You may want to find out about getting rental property, so stuff like that. But not necessarily using the person, but letting them know, hey, I know you have expertise in this, because how many times we pay people to do things that we have friends that are actually qualified, and we never ask them, why didn't you ask me about that?
We always overlook the people closest to us.
Exactly.
Always.
Exactly.
And that's because we don't operate in an intentional space.
Yes, exactly. So understanding things like that, I think is really good. We have people who their job is, let's say, to be like professionals who are, I don't want to say secretarial. There's another way to administrative professionals.
Yeah.
And sometimes, or someone who has worked in that space before. And sometimes because the person is your friend, you overlook them and you go to pay someone else to do it. Mm-hmm. Whereas they could have given you advice and given of their expertise, and it doesn't cost you anything. Not that you're not looking to pay, but they're too close to the situation. And so we ought to realize, as they say in Barbados, home drums must beat first.
Right.
So, you want to start with the people closest to you and utilize their expertise and not overlook people. What's that?
No, I've never heard that before. Home drums must be the first. I guess it comes from dance yard before you dance abroad, right? Same thing.
Dance yard before you dance abroad. Yeah. Yes, they Barbados say home drums go beat first. So,
okay. I never heard that one.
Drums go beat first.
Never heard that one.
Yes.
All right.
So, but yes. All right. So in wrapping up, we want to remind you that this is, as Taryn is saying, 2020 new. And even if you're not setting resolutions, one of the main things I think you should probably take away from today, not the 300 list, but what you need to do, I would say, is collaborate. Collaborate with someone who can hold you accountable for anything that you would like to accomplish this year. Whether that means sending an email to somebody and letting them know, listen, this year I would like to do whatever. And I would just like you to be an accountability partner. That keeps everybody, above board and helps you to accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish. Any last words, Taryn?
No. I'm just saying that once again, appreciate you guys so much, and feel free to send all your comments and anything that you would want to ask at the respective email addresses that you already have. If you don't Can't remember it. Just remind them.
everydaylessonsnow@gmail.com is our email. And then we have an Instagram page. We also have a website, everydaylessonsnow.com. And we're happy to take feedback. Thanks to everyone who has tuned in from China, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Guyana,
Wherever you are
in the US, wherever you are, we are happy to have you. We're happy to have you be part of the conversation. Next week, we're going to talk about increasing your emotional vocabulary, because you have to be able to talk about the things that you're feeling.
Correct.
So next week is major, guys. Do not miss
Major
it.
one.
We're going to be back.
Emotional
next
vocabulary. That's a
Sunday.
beautiful one. I can't wait for that.
Yes.
All right.